Hey, what's going on? You're in the secret level here with Gurns, and today I got a video on how to build your own AFK Truffle Worm and Glowing Mushroom farm. I really like this farm, guys. Like in 20 minutes I got, let's see, 21 Truffle Worms, and I was only at my computer for like 30 seconds out of that 20 minutes. Okay, so awesome farm, guys. Alright, so let's see how this farm works. Here we go. So there are several benefits to having your own glowing mushroom farm nearby. So just a quick note, you don't want, again, just like the jungle farm, you don't want to build it right beside your house, otherwise it will cause parts of your house to become technically a jungle, or not jungle, glowing mushroom biome, and you don't want that. Right, so build it, somewhere close by, somewhere convenient, but not right beside your house. Anyway, this is just where I have mine, basically. So again, there's a number of benefits, and the first one being is obviously you have a nice, large, safe area as such here. I'm just going to turn off my Stardust Dragon real quick. To gather glowing mushrooms, and glowing mushrooms you need pretty consistently throughout the game. So, the first thing that you need glowing mushrooms for, are healing potions. And healing potions are nice if you have a whole, basically unlimited supply of them early on, because they make a lot of, fights and just exploring much more convenient. So it's nice to have a whole bunch of healing potions early on, and glowing mushrooms are used to make those. They're also used to make shine potions, which are another convenient potion to have all the time, not just early on, but basically all the time, because they help when you're exploring, light up your surrounding area so it doesn't become all dark and stuff as you're digging around. So it's nice and convenient to have a whole bunch of those handy. So also glowing mushrooms are used to make shroomite bars, and shroomite bars are somewhat of a late game bar that basically is used to make a bunch of ranged gear. And so if you like ranged gear, and it makes some really nice ranged gear, I must say, you're going to need a lot of shroomite bars, and to make the whole set you need a lot of glowing mushrooms to make those shroomite bars, like a lot, like 1,000. So it's nice to have a glowing mushroom area that you can come and farm conveniently, so you're not once you come to the time you want to build those shroomite bars, you only have like 10 glowing mushrooms. That's not good. It's going to take you a while to get to that 1,000. So, and finally, which is the main purpose of this farm as well, I wouldn't say the main purpose, but probably the biggest benefit, as you can see from the little bottom trap I have here, is Truffle Worms. And in case you guys don't know, Truffle Worms are a little bait that you use for fishing, but they're a special bait. They're used solely to summon the Duke Fishron boss. And Duke Fishron is a fairly late game boss that drops a lot of really good loot. Like, you're going to want everything he drops, basically. So you're going to want to kill him a lot of times. And the only way to summon him is to find one of these Truffle Worms. Now, the Truffle Worms, they only spawn in the underground glowing mushroom biomes. And they're kind of rare. So again, that's why I have mine in the underground here. So basically this farm is also set up as an AFK Truffle Worm farm. You don't even have to do anything. You can actually just kind of sit here like I am right now, turn on the traps that I have set up. I'll explain how everything works in a moment. But yeah, you can just sit here, do something else if you want. Go get something to eat, or if you're like me, take a nap because you're tired or whatever. But yeah, and then just come back, and then there'll be a whole bunch of Truffle Worms just waiting for you in this little trap here, waiting for you to grab with your net. They won't despawn. They'll just stay there. So anyway, alright, so that's as far as the benefits go, I'm pretty sure. So let's get on to how I have this set up, how you're going to want to set up this place. So the first thing you're going to want to do is clear out a fairly large area in the underground. Ideally somewhere, convenient, somewhere not too far away from your house so you can get to it conveniently. Grab a whole bunch of mud blocks and mushroom grass seed. Mushroom grass seeds you get randomly from just destroying glowing mushrooms. So if you don't have any yet, just go find yourself a glowing mushroom biome, and just go back until you have, a couple mushroom grass seeds. You don't need a whole ton because you just plant them in the mud, and as long as the mud is connected somehow, the mushroom grass will spread over time. It doesn't take too long, and eventually all the mud will turn into mushroom grass. So once you have that set up, basically, you're going to want to build a bunch of rows, 3 blocks apart. Okay, so it's up to you really how many rows you have. I suggest not making it too large. That just takes too long. It costs too much wire and traps and all that fun stuff. So I have, let's see here, including the top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows, including the bottom as well. So as you can see, between each row is 3 blocks of space. Okay, so you're going to want 3 blocks of space in between each row. And I have a whole bunch of traps here set up as well. So just before I get into that, as far as the length of the area goes, as you can see by my mini-map, you want it to be, I'll just kind of walk over here real quick actually. It's not too far out, see? It just goes out to there. But you want it to be basically just long enough so that it's off screen, maybe 10, 15, 20 blocks off screen, the end. And that way actual, mushroom critters and stuff like that and truffle worms will spawn there. Okay. So as far as the traps go, I know I have a bunch of traps here. You actually don't need this many traps if you don't have that many. I just kind of put them there because the more you have, the quicker it will kill all the other monsters, and thus the quicker more truffle worms will spawn. So it just makes it more efficient the more you kind of want to put down. But it doesn't really matter. You can just put down like 1 trap, except for this area. I'll explain in a second here. So so let's just take a look at the wiring now real quick. So the wiring might look a little bit daunting, but it's actually not too bad, and it doesn't have to be this complicated either if you don't want it to be. So now all the rows, except for the top row and the bottom row, are actuated with wire. And I'll get to that actually in a moment, but as you can see the traps here, I have some of them just like 2 and then 2 and then 3 basically, but that's just based on how many I have. I have those all connected through wire here, and they all go up and separately, as you can see here, connect to 3 separate 1-second timers. And all 3 different colors go up through here. I know it kind of looks green, but it's not. All the colors, green, blue, and yellow, go up through here, individually connect to these 3 1-second timers, and then again up through here, and then individually connect to 3 different pressure plates, and then to the other traps and so forth. Okay, so the reason why that is just to increase the damage. So again, you don't really have to do that if you don't want to. You can connect them, all the traps, to just 1 second, to just 1-1-second timer if you want. It just does a little bit more damage this way and kills things a bit quicker this way. So I just made it this way, just just to make it a little bit more efficient. It's not even as efficient as possible. I could have put more 1-second timers and individually connected them all, but I really didn't feel like doing that. So this is good enough as it is. So let's just take a look quickly how this works now. So what I do is I just go out here, just get rid of these guys real quick. So I just go to turn it on, I just come out here, stand on this top ledge, and then I fall down onto the pressure plates there. And that will activate the 1-second timers, which will activate the traps kind of at different times so that the spears... I have actually all the dart traps all connected at the same time, so it's not as efficient as it could be, but it's good enough for me. So that will activate all the different traps at different times to kind of spread out the damage. And as you can see, the traps are basically in the middle of the space. They're just kind of like a line in the middle. And what that will do is kill all the different mobs. Oh, look, there's a mimic. It can also spawn mimics too. In fact, mimics gave me a bit of an issue. I'll get to that at the end though. Anyway, the traps here in the middle, that what they will do is kill all the mobs, but not kill the truffle worms, right? Because there's, you can see there's a space at the bottom, and what that will do is let the truffle worms kind of walk in underneath here, underneath each one, and then fall into the trap. Now, I put a trap at the top of this layer here, basically the layer underneath your where you're standing, because I noticed that those little flower things that will kind of sometimes stretch out of the screen and shoot little, I don't know, things at you basically. I noticed the ones that spawned at the top would stick right in the middle of this area here, and it wouldn't get hit by any of the traps. So to kill those specific ones, you're going to want to have like 1 or 2 traps just at these top ones here. Okay, so now at the top level here, you can see I have an area with spiky balls here, and that's because some of the mobs at the top level, because there's no top layer, will get past this, not die, and then jump over here. And you want to get those things killed. Sometimes they jump up here too. That's the reason for these traps as well. Now, as far as these spaces here that you can see, like the truffle worm just fell there, that's so the truffle worm will fall down and not get too close to me for these first 3 layers, the top and then the second 2 layers beneath. Because if the truffle worm gets too close to you when you're AFK doing something else, and the truffle worm kind of just wanders up and gets like right here, it will actually just run away, and you can't catch it. It will run away and disappear, basically, and that's not good, obviously. So, yeah, now, as far as the spacing goes, you're going to want to have these 3 blocks of space apart, but this one, only 2 blocks of space apart. The one at the top with, like, a little layer up here, so that things can kind of walk up there in there conveniently and die. But the important thing, which I found over time, why this has to be 2 blocks of space apart, is for those mimics. Now, they're very rare. Well, not too rare, but they're pretty rare. So you won't often have a problem. But when a mimic does spawn, and only on this top level, when it spawns on this top level, if this was 3 blocks apart, it would actually fall. It's the only thing that would fall. All the other mobs, even if it was 3 blocks apart, have no problem jumping over it and dying over here. And they'll never fall in there. They'll always jump over it. But the mimics, they wouldn't make it. They need a 2 block space. So it needs to be 2 blocks of space apart so that the mimics can also make it over there and die. But it can't be 1 block of space, otherwise the truffle worms will not go. They won't fall through. They need at least 2 blocks of space to fall through. So 2 blocks of space. So now the truffle worms, you'll notice they kind of come along, if you're actually here, not AFK, they'll come along the floor, and some of them might, as they come along the floor early enough along, if another mob spawns behind it and runs along, the mob will kill it. Don't worry about that, because you'll get plenty of truffle worms. As you can see from just sitting here during this video, there's a ton of them just sitting in that trap, waiting for me to go collect. Yeah, so that's awesome. You don't need to worry about those couple that will die. It's not a big deal. Yeah. What else was there about this one here? Okay, so yeah. Another thing too is the truffle worms, as they're coming along, you'll notice if you're not, again, if you're not AFK and you're actually here, you'll notice that they'll stop and just sit there for a bit. They always do that. Don't worry, they won't ever turn around. I've watched. They won't ever turn around, as far as I've known. I've watched a lot of them. They won't turn around and walk the other way. They'll always continue to walk the same direction and then fall into that trap, just like that. Yeah, now this middle part here is 4 blocks apart, and the bottom part is 4 blocks apart, just in case, as you can see there. So yeah, now to gather them up, you get your net out, and you want to be quick too, because if you stand there too long looking for your net right beside the worms, they'll all run away, and that would be terrible. You don't want that many truffle worms to run away all at the same time. That would just, that would feel terrible. Okay, so I have this next switch here just actuated just to this layer here. I have my net ready, and as soon as I want to gather them, I just go down here and get them. Look at that, 9 truffle worms. 9 truffle worms. And I've only been sitting here, I don't know, it's been like 10, maybe 15 minutes, something like that. So yeah, that's awesome. Now, to turn off the traps, I just click those right there. That turns off the traps. There's another truffle worm. That one's probably just going to have to die or something. I don't care about that one. Sorry, truffle worm. So now let's say I just want to come here, and I'm not here for truffle worms. I just want the glowing mushrooms. So I just flip this switch here. I'll just show you the wiring again real quick, just in case. So this switch here is separately connected to these rows, the actual ground, which is again actuated with wire. So if I'll turn off the wire now. If I flip that, that causes all those rows to become actuated, and then all the mushrooms will then just get destroyed and fall to the bottom layer, ready for me to go collect. So I just switch that one there, and then I just kind of run along here, grab all the mushrooms. You can get your sword out or whatever weapon you're using to get the ones at the bottom, just like that as you're running along. And yeah, then you can collect a whole ton of glowing mushrooms. Got 234 just from that right there. And there's another truffle worm that just kind of spawned just right there while I was running around. So that's another thing too. So let's say you don't want to go AFK. There's another truffle worm. Wow, lots of truffle worms. So let's say you don't want to go AFK and you want a truffle worm like right now. You want to fight Duke Fishron right away. You don't want to wait. So what I'd normally do if that's the case is I would just actuate it just like this. And as you saw there, like 2 truffle worms just spawned pretty much immediately. But I would just kind of run around left and right, just like this. And just hopefully a truffle worm will like spawn, because it will be a little bit quicker rather than letting them walk to you. Just running around like this, because new mobs will spawn as you run left and right. And you just kill the baddies, because baddies take up spawn chances, and you want as much spawn chances for those truffle worms, right? Yeah, so I just run around left and right. I haven't found any yet, but there were a couple at the beginning. So really, it's up to you. It might not be that much faster, really. You just kind of stand there. So yeah, I guess that's pretty much all there is to it as far as the actual setup goes. 2 more things, actually, guys. One is these traps up here at the top. I know I said you could potentially only have 1 there, but you actually need to have, I might actually even add a couple of 1 or 2 more rows, because what I didn't realize is what they're doing is they're help preventing those little flaky things that those flowers, those like stretchy flower things shoot at you, and then they kind of like fall down. They prevent those things from not only hurting you, but I think it's possible that maybe 1 could potentially get through and then fall down and hurt the truffle worms. It's never happened before, either because it's not possible or because these traps are here. So I just kind of recommend having, more than 1, basically. As well as the second thing too is actually you might notice that glowing snails as well as mice get through the bottom here as well. You don't have to worry about those because they do get into here, but they don't harm the truffle worms, and they also get right back out and then just kind of scurry away. So you don't have to worry about them taking up the max spawn limit either. Yeah. Alright guys, so that's how you build your own glowing mushroom and truffle worm farm. So there was actually just one little thing actually I wanted to mention, one small note, is as you can see right here, there's a water candle. You're going to want to put a water candle around somewhere, wherever your little base or your little hut is that you've built, and because that also helps increase the spawn rate of truffle worms, not just actual enemies. Okay, so yeah, make sure you have that there. And just once again, guys, if you don't want to have as many traps as I do, you don't have to. Like, I could get away with just having 1 spiky ball trap here, probably maybe 1 or 2 spear trap there. And when I first started this, there was only 1 spear trap or super dart trap, sorry. There was only 1 that I had in each row, and it still worked. It's just it took quite a bit longer to actually get the mobs killed, and it just thus took longer for more truffle worms to spawn. So now I get tons of truffle worms. Just like there's already 3 there again, and here's another one come along. It just looks funny as they fall. So yeah. So anyway, that's it, guys, and I hope the video helped. I actually really liked this farm. This farm is one of my favorite farms once I made this one. I thought it was awesome. because you can literally just go completely AFK, come back, and those truffle worms will be there. Once again, they will not, you don't have to worry about them despawning as long as your game's still running. They will be sitting there just waiting for you to come and gather up after you're done eating or doing whatever it is you're doing. Alright, so yeah, again, I hope the video helped, guys. Leave a like if it did, and subscribe here to the secret level, and join me, Gurns. Always coming out with new videos like this, and again, feel free to leave in the comments if you have any suggestions for me or anything like that, for different kinds of builds or questions that you might have. So yeah, alright guys, this is Gurns exiting the secret level. Take it easy.